Welcome to the afternoon of day 4 of Meet the Firms Week. Thanks for sticking with us. I feel like every session gets better and better as we go along. This morning with Amy Vetter at Zero was awesome, just incredible feedback. And what's funny, Chris, is a lot of people within the webinar were saying, I don't really know how to start a business. I don't know how to start a small business, or I'd like to start a small business, but I'm really interested in the idea of creating a niche business. What's that all about? So it's a perfect segue for you. Um, so Meet the Firms Week, couple of ground rules. Go ahead and apply to jobs at Meet the Firms Week on Accounting Fly. There's new jobs being added every day. There's an incredible firm in Minnesota. If you're in Minnesota, you need to check out the Entrepreneurial Experience internship at Brewery, which is a top 200 firm in the United States and an incredible place to work. So you can take a look at that at Accounting Fly. I'll have the link for that when I come back. Handouts. Inside your GoToWebinar control panel, there are handouts of Amy Vetter's presentation from earlier, as well as Chris's slides here on building a niche firm that Chris is going to cover. So you guys can download that and have access to his slides. Welcome to everybody who's logging in from CPA Academy. We're really glad that you're here. You'll notice this is a student-oriented conference, but what we're talking about today is about building a firm that serves a national industry and the lucrative benefits of that. So this applies to students, CPAs, non-CPAs, experienced, whatever. We're going to do 4 polling questions during the session, so please answer those questions. It helps us understand our audience. I got a really cool giveaway to tell you about. We've got great sponsors, guys, really great sponsors. I'm grateful to the AICPA and their PCPS group, Zero, Gleim CPA Review, Surgent CPA Review, Wiley CPA Excel. So let me tell you about this. What do we have for you today from Surgent is, so if you haven't heard of Surgent CPA Review, adaptive learning technology that saves you time so you pass that CPA exam a lot faster, and they guarantee it. They have this incredible team of instructors on staff to answer your questions, short bite-sized lessons, and you pass it in faster time, basically. But anyway, so get this. Next Friday, October the 30th at 11 a.m., Surgent CPA Review is holding a 60-minute exam coaching session led by Liz Kohler. Liz is a co-founder of Surgent CPA Review, and she is one of their awesome instructors. This session will only be open to the first 100 people that register. There's not going to be a recording. This is an intimate, small group session that allow for more focused attention and individual questions. You've got to be there. So if you can't make it, email me with the subject line Surgent, and we'll notify you when we do another one of these. I mean, Chris, I imagine if you had a chance to do a private CPA coaching session for an hour with a master teacher, you'd probably take advantage of that, knowing there's only 100 slots, right?
All over it.
Here's a quote from Megan at BDO. Liz is a great instructor. Her courses manage to cover all the relevant topics in the areas in a detailed and concise manner. I was able to pass the exam on my first try thanks to her. I just sent the link out so you can register for that. Again, we're capping it at 100. So once it's 100 people, we're closing it out. So we're going to talk about building niche opportunities, niche firms, and I've got an expert, Chris, and you, and I really appreciate you being here, man. Chris is going to talk about how he built a successful accounting practice that serves the U.S. craft beer industry. Chris Farmand has been recognized as a top 40, under 40 CPA by CPA Practice Advisor. Chris is an awesome presenter. And what we're going to sort of, just the objectives of the conversation today is why niches are lucrative, why they're a great source of growth for accounting firms. You're going to hear that firsthand from Chris's story, how Chris built this practice, and how to identify niches to pursue. So Chris is going to introduce himself in a minute, but I want you to make sure, Chris, you tell us about your improv career in New York City before you chose the path of accounting. University of Florida BS in Business Finance and an MBA from University of North Florida. He's a dad. He's got all kinds of hobbies like swimming, running, cycling, and weekend barbecues. And it sounds like you already have a brisket on the green egg for this weekend, which is exciting.
Yeah.
I'm coming.
Yeah, bring it.
Chris, tell us your story, man. And I'll jump in
Okay.
and ask some polling questions in a minute, but we're really eager to learn about you and your practice, and we really appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Jeff. I want to thank Accounting Fly for having me and allowing me to present this. I like talking about my story as much as possible because I'm very passionate about what I'm doing now. I'm very passionate about serving an industry, and I'm very passionate about the knowledge transfer, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So as Jeff said, I actually graduated from the University of Florida in 2002 with a BS in Food and Resource Economics. So what that meant really was is that I didn't talk about stocks and bonds. I talked about cattle feed and hay bales. Same principles though. It was under the Department of Agriculture school. Um, my junior and senior year, I got heavily involved in improv. I had done stand-up and MC comedy club shows in Gainesville. Um, Freshman and sophomore year, and then found the world of improv and absolutely fell in love with it. Upon graduating, I had no intention on doing anything with my degree, so I went to New York and tried my hand at improv. Took some classes at Upright Citizens Brigade, did a few shows, amateur shows with some friends, and really got caught up more in the lifestyle of New York and working than improv. Only made it there a year. It was a short career. As I like to say, I retired early. A little bit of background about my family. My family's accounting firm in Jacksonville, Florida here is probably celebrating their 40th anniversary this year, 39th or 40th. Deep accounting roots in this city. Two offices, one in Jacksonville, one in Amelia Island, the Fernandina area, which is about an hour north of here. So accounting was the center of the world growing up. All businesses ran around accounting, and that's all we knew. So I figured that's what I would do. I went back and began working part-time at the family accounting firm while going back and getting a second undergrad, this time in accounting. Worked toward my CPA exam after I got my 150 hours completed. After I was done with the exam, completed my MBA, and then began working full-time. While I was at UNF, and it's more pronounced now in the college scene than ever, the Big Four were there. They were heavily recruiting. I always knew I was going to go work for my family. I didn't know I would be where I am now, but I never had an intention on working for a regional firm, a large local firm. It was straight to go work for what I knew. So all my friends that went to that graduated with me, most of them did go to the Big Four. I think the most that anyone lasted there was about 5 years. So yeah. Is it polling question time, Jeff, or not yet?
Yeah, we'll fire one up before you kind of get into the meat. But Chris, I've noticed that when the Big Four, we've seen a trend that 5 years is the pretty long term. A lot drop off by year two as well. So just interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We made that observation. This is what I want to know, and then maybe while we're waiting on the polling results, is the Big Four was recruiting your classmates heavily. Was it because your family had a business that you didn't go that direction, or like what was compelling to you to you could have gone Big Four considering you were at University of Florida? But I'm gonna fire off the polling question real quick.
Yeah.
Just curious, everybody on the call, if you intend to get a master's degree in accounting, I know this is a little bit out of the blue, but we're trying to pull some data on the students out there. So select one and hit submit. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to knock this out, and then we're going to get out of the way. Chris, just for your benefit, 10% intend to get a master's, 42% says no, 12% says not sure, 33% say already have one or I'm currently enrolled. I'll give you guys 5 seconds, and we're going to close this out and get out of here.
Yeah, so let me go back to your question of my intentions at school. I knew what Big Four work looked like, and I wasn't about to be contained to that. So, and I also knew what small firm work looked like, and I knew that it was a mix, a balance. You're seeing and talking and interacting with different tasks and deliverables. And that's what I needed. Once again, I was very jaded. I came in thinking accounting was the center of all business, so I figured I'm going to learn everything about every business through the eyes of an accountant. Well, that's not true either. However, it kept me on the path to stay focused, going with the small firm. Once I began full-time work, and this is really the most ironic part of my career, is I go from improv to schooling straight into governmental and not-for-profit auditing. While there's nothing wrong with governmental and not-for-profit auditing, it takes a special person to work those out. So that was my dad. My dad was my direct partner. He was the audit partner. That's what we did for about 9 months out of the year. The remaining months we did taxes. And at the time, I thought this was the beauty of small firms. You do it all. You get to do a little bit of write-up, a little bit of bookkeeping, a little bit of payroll, a little bit of sales tax, a little bit of audit work, and then your traditional tax work. Early on, accounting technology was a passion of mine, and I wanted to really stake my claim as like the premier accounting technology firm for Northeast Florida, or even Florida. I mean, I kind of saw the light early in saying this has no boundaries. So that's where I was, solely focused on. 2006, the audit practice came to an end, and for a number of reasons, mostly because my dad looked at me and said, "Look, I'm about to retire. Do you want this?" And I said, "Heck no." At that time, I began building my own book of accounting and tax and consulting clients, technology consulting, and my client acceptance at that time was if you had a pulse and a checkbook, we would take you on. I would work with you, and really learned a lot from that model. So in a matter of 3 years, I had built a decent-sized book for the time I had been doing it. I was experiencing very little customer loyalty. All of my customers were super price sensitive. It was just a constant battle to get bills paid. And the biggest kicker for me with the general firm is there was little to, in my case, zero knowledge transfer. We were 100% compliance. The only reason why people came back to see me is because they had to get something filed. And that just didn't sit well with me. It sits very well with some practitioners, but it just did not. Maybe it's my entrepreneurial gut that just says, look, there's got to be something more to this career than people having to come back to you every year to do the compliance work. So I decided to build a niche. I left the family firm in 2010, October 1st, 2010. I just celebrated my 5th year anniversary. And at that time, I picked up my first brewery client. And with that brewery client, I was fortunate enough to work with them 6 months prior to open. So I got to see some of the opening papers, the opening filings. I got to set up their processes. I got to set up their technology. I got to research different best practices. And there wasn't a lot in 2010. The guys who had been running breweries like the Deschutes and the Lagunitas, which first of all were all on the West Coast, have been doing it forever, and they had no data. So I got to make this stuff up as we went along. I pulled from my business knowledge, my technology knowledge, and we tried stuff. We messed stuff up. We fixed it. We did some really awesome things. But the bottom line is that we were just kept trying it. And about year 2 into working with them, I noticed that just a gaping hole in the system with breweries. I saw the growth in the industry. I quickly realized that a brewery is not one business. A brewery, if you're in a self-distributing state, could be up to 5 businesses in one. And I began studying the ownership profiles, and the typical ownership profile in 2010, it's very different now, was an award-winning home brewer that had gone to professional training, and a marketing guy. And the marketing guy was usually tasked with the stuff that we do, the compliance, the back office. And then a little deeper digging realized that mother-in-laws and sister-in-laws were doing this work, this really complicated, um, highly time-sensitive, highly accurate sensitive, governmental excise taxes, state and local taxes, use taxes, um, work. And I was like, wait a minute, there's an opportunity here. So I set out, I made a commitment to myself, 2012, that I had built a solution to a problem, and number two, I really loved beer, and I loved that these guys were bringing back manufacturing and craft building and local. I mean, when a brewery goes up, as most of you probably know, it builds a community around it. So it spurs businesses, it redevelops broken down areas or dilapidated areas. It has a great economic impact. Huge tax benefit for the locality. So I was going to be the craft beer CPA. I was geeked about it. And then my only and first brewery fired me. Well, for the practitioners out there, they did fire me. For the students out there, you'll learn that they fired me. But what ended up happening was the individual that owned the brewery had a whole tax team for some other businesses that he was in, and he wanted to promote a bartender who wanted to leave the bar scene into the back office. So she came into my office and basically, yeah, I trained her for about 8 months, and then one day they were like, okay, you're done. While I owe this guy a ton of thanks for letting me kind of cut his teeth on it, and I feel very, I feel a great purpose that I'd set up their processes, and they still use my technology and my processes and workings. At the end of the day, in accounting talk, I got fired. So here I was, the brewery CPA with no customers. At that time, prior to committing to this niche, I had been working with a marketing coach, like a directive marketing coach, and he kept pushing back on this brewery niche because he had some other thoughts, which we tested and did not work, and I kept pushing back on the brewery focus. So finally he said, okay, scrap my idea, let's focus on the brewery stuff. About 3 months prior to the client leaving, we had launched our first marketing campaign, which was a handwritten letter. And one day I was just sitting there, about probably 3 weeks after I disengaged this last client, and this brewery from Washington, D.C. called me and said, hey, buddy, we've been looking for you. And the rest is kind of history. So Jeff asked me kind of why I wanted to go national versus local. Well, the reality is that I couldn't make a business of it going local. Piggyback that on with my love for technology and the ability to put pieces together and gather data from far away, and it all just kind of made sense, right? It all made sense that this was going to be a national practice, and ironically enough, all the breweries in the North Florida area know about me. And I think there's 8 of them. I currently serve 2. And there's only so many pebbles you can throw at someone's window. There's only so much marketing you can do. If they don't appreciate a specialist, they don't appreciate specialists. I just move on. And what it's allowed me to do is first of all, it's created me to get a little bit more hungry, and I'm able to go to larger markets now and command larger prices for what I can do. And I kind of have a soft spot for my local market, so I may tend to price it a little bit less because I am helping my local city, a business in my local city, grow. So yeah, in the beginning, this was tough, and when I say tough, here I am coming from having 150 clients. Let's say 100 of those were individual, 50 were businesses, and it was a wide range of industries. It was your typical CPA practice. Some of those 150 clients generated referrals. The majority of them didn't. So I was out doing the typical lawyer lunches, banker lunches, chamber dinglings, B&I groups, trying to build my practice. And once again, the entrepreneurial gut just didn't feel right. It was really difficult to get people to understand, the passion that I had at the time about technology, at the time about process, back office process, and really bringing that all together to get reliable data for the company to grow. Um, so yeah, it was tough in the beginning. Cash flow is definitely an issue when you decide to niche, um, and you have to free your time up. You have to free your networking time up and your marketing time up, which it's easy to spend half that time in the car driving around town. But when you're sitting in front of your computer, you're not jumping on a plane to go to a market. When you're sitting in front of your computer thinking of marketing ideas, it can get kind of lonely. So just an honest, a brutally honest heads up to building a niche practice. Um, and as far as the goals go, this is one of my defects. It's enough is never enough for me. I have very lofty goals. 2015's goals were 11 existing breweries, and an existing brewery is a brewery or distillery, but brewery existing means in business 2 years or longer. Today, I'm currently getting about 50 startup emails or calls a week. And I have a process to handle those where I'm probably talking to one of those a month, because I just can't handle it. And I realize that startups are they're great and but I'm at the point in my journey where the most knowledge and most value is transferred at that 1 to 2 year mark. The problem with that is I'm still coming up against the mother-in-law, the sister-in-law, breweries thinking it's okay for a generalist to serve them, and it is okay. But when I see the value that we've transferred to our customers, it's really amazing. The quantitative value, like the dollar value. So our client onboarding process is really all about knowledge transfer. Are you going to allow us and pay us to transfer our knowledge to you, Jeff?
Chris, I'm going to fire up a poll question, but then I'm also going to ask you a question
Yep.
because we have a bunch coming in. But do your clients worry about you working with the competition? And as you're thinking of an answer, I'm going to launch this poll question, guys, real quick. Just curious if you've started an accounting practice yourself before. So, Chris, you can go and answer the question, and I'll sit here and administer the poll.
Jeff, my clients love it. They absolutely love the fact that I'm serving the industry and working with people, because if you think about it, breweries are still relatively new. The industry is growing very, very fast. There's not a lot of data on that. Last week we published a anonymous pricing, anonymous production wage metric and grid. So we listed the one client's production wages by function, and we listed anonymously 7 other breweries right next to them, some in their area, some outside of their area, so they can gauge, are we underpaying or overpaying. In a bull market right now, as you know, Jeff, you and I spoke before the thing, you've experienced high growth industries. There's a lot of poaching going on.
Right.
There's a lot of people trying to steal, and it's almost not even stealthy. It's I've been visiting a brewery, and the head brewer will come in and be like, "Yeah, I just got a call from so and so in Dallas or so and so in Seattle, and they offered me equity position or job." Or so it's the workforce really hasn't settled, and a good brewer is a very hot commodity. So if they have that information, that knowledge of what they're paying versus what the other people are paying, and so and another thing is, as part of our career, I take information, I take experiences from other breweries, successes, challenges, and I never share confidential information. But if we can use that to help the other clients grow, there's absolutely no wrong in that. I mean, It's knowledge transfer. It's responsible knowledge transfer. Oh, I like that. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah,
You got a
right.
second?
Right. And then while you're writing it down, I'm going to ask you another question. And if you don't mind, I may just keep the webcam up here in case I wanted to fire off another question. But
Okay.
you mentioned that you wrote these marketing letters. Who did you send them to, and what did they say?
Okay. So the great point, a great question. At the time I wrote the letters, and most of you remember this, every day and on Facebook or your news feeds, and I had a Google search, a Google alert for this, but it was top 10 brewery this, top 10 brewery that, Vanity Fair, Esquire magazine, the Suncoast top. I mean, it was just everyone was putting out top 10 brewery lists, so we just jumped on it. We'd say, hey, congratulations on your nomination on the top 10 brewery of XYZ publication. We love you. We've been following you. Here's an article we think you may find important. And it was an article that I had found in the Sonoma Business Journal saying a rise in craft beer, a rise in the craft brewing industry calls for a need in professional or specialized tax and accounting experts. So I wasn't shoving anything down their throat, but I was just saying, I'm here. We're thinking about you. And then we followed it up with some witty flyers. So our tagline, our branding tagline is crafting candor. And I number one, we don't complicate things, and number two, we do not BS things. So that's kind of our deal. And it's understanding the next thing I really dove into was understanding the ownership profile. And when you have two young guys that really want to concentrate on the brand building and really want to concentrate on the quality beer, and they can have someone that comes in that speaks their language and removes that responsibility off their back, it's a perfect mix. Okay,
Cool.
let's talk about my practice management. Our firm is 100% virtual, meaning we can work from anywhere. We've been in the cloud for a while now. We do have some desktop applications we have to run, but once again, it's virtual. We utilize a host of cloud technology, cloud software, from brewery management software to accounting to bill pay document management to expense tracking. All the traveling salespeople are on a app that tracks mileage for mileage reimbursement. We do have a physical location in Jacksonville, Florida. I have not been able to pull away from that. Simply because I need a place to come to. I can't work from home. The team currently consists of one CPA, one tax accountant that will start in December 1st, two bookkeepers in-house here in Jacksonville, and then one bookkeeper in California. And all of our team members are on salary. I wanted to talk about, I don't know if it's on the next screen or not. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I wanted to talk about pay and the practice management. So all of our team is currently on salary with bonus opportunities for the following. New business brought in, and it's not your traditional new business brought in because I'll mention this now. We don't bill by the hour, we value price. I know that's been a hot topic this week and a recurring theme, but we've been value pricing since 2010. I just got back from Boston where I spent 2 days with the founders of the value pricing and the Various Age Network. It's very ingrained in my soul. I wouldn't even know how to go back to bill by the hour. With that being said, I've never been more profitable. I've never had more loyal clients. I've never had more fun doing what I'm doing. So what new business brought in means, because bookkeepers can quickly turn into really shitty business development people. Sorry, Jeff. I won't say that again. Well, I actually have one more time where I will curse, but that'll be it.
We're not going to stop for that. As long as you provide beer samples to the rest of the audience, okay?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so we don't want people deviating from their task, but it's really it's an encouragement for me to say, buy into what we're doing, get into what we're doing. all of the staff about 30 days into it have full access. They become essentially account managers, project managers and account managers at the same time. They have full access to the customers via phone, cell, and email. I just don't. I tell them, you talk to them because I won't and I can't. Now, with that being said, I don't know if the value pricing people this week have talked to you about models and various, but I basically work on the airplane model. I have first class, I have economy plus, and I have coach. My first class clients have unlimited access to me, usually within a 2-hour time frame. The coach clients, I get back to them within a day or two, or they have unlimited access to my staff. And it's everyone just loves it. It just loves it. If I had to, because I know the traditional model too well. I was in it for 7 years. Excuse me. I was in the traditional model for 7 years. I know the compensation, and knowing the capacity that my staff have and the deliverables that they are well overcompensated. They don't know that because neither of them, all three of them, the one tax guy who will start has been in industry for 15 years, but the other ones have never been in accounting industry, so they would get paid 2/3 of what they're getting paid here if they went to any other firm with probably 1.5 times the amount of work. Capacity is very important in the value pricing model. I don't want burnout. I don't want disgruntledness. I want the opportunity for when you see an opportunity for change order or the scope is changing for us to discuss it, to communicate that value to the client to receive another price increase or a price change. Next year, I'm rolling out a price competition. The employee with the most change orders wins a $2,500 vacation package. We will pay for $2,500 of vacation. And what that means is they have to be well versed with the scope of their work, and they have to see when the client is really pushing on that scope. 2017, employees will begin receiving a percentage of change orders, the actual cash, for the life of the account. If they're comfortable enough identifying, communicating, and closing that deal. I don't think people should be compensated just because they found an opportunity. If you have the ability to communicate it to the client and close the deal, then you are definitely going to share on the. By the way, I don't do Christmas bonuses. I don't do birthday bonuses. We eat out and we go to happy hour a dozen times a year, and we cut loose. So and we do lunches, here. But the jolly of the month Christmas bonus, I don't do it, and everyone knows that. I just don't. I don't see a need for it. Okay. Yep. Advice in hindsight. I'm actually running a little fast here. I think. Let me see what's next. Okay. Right. Advice in hindsight.
Questions, Chris, so don't worry about it. If you're running fast, we got plenty to talk about.
Okay. If I could do it all over again, I would have hired someone at a higher tax level 2 years ago. I would have foregone salary to bring in someone to handle the work, so I could have gone and done more business development. And business development in a niche is far different than business development in a firm. Bankers now, 5 years later, are calling on me. Whereas before, I'm chasing every banker in town saying, what do you got for me? Where's the next real estate deal? Where's this? Where's that? So bankers, I couldn't talk to bankers. There were 2 or 3 lawyers in the U.S. that were serving them, and they didn't know me from Adam, so they weren't going to refer me anything. So what business development means for a niche practice is that you're creatively coming up with marketing campaigns, you're coming up with a creative website, you're solving problems, you're blogging, you're writing in the space, you're speaking in the space, you're getting connected with thought leaders, you're writing for industry publications, you're podcasting. It's far different from the traditional business development. So this may be a little controversial. My advice to students who are stuck on the Big Four, and let me tell you a side story. I had a really poor experience at UNF, and UNF, University of North Florida, is my alma mater for my second undergrad and my master's degree. Love it. The president there, John Delaney, has done amazing things with the school. I currently sit on the alumni board there and support the Coggin College of Business alumni board, and really support it. Where I'm going with this is that I tried the career fair thing there, and what I had realized was is that the players that I would want to associate myself with were already going to Big Four, and I knew this because I spoke to them, and they were graduating in December. This was October. They were graduating in December. They had an internship in the spring, and they were starting full time in the fall. That internship was time just to get their CPA exam done. So the Big Four have a good grasp on it. The thing that I love about the small firm is that number one, the autonomy. Number two, the variety of business. Number three, the social aspect of it. Number four, it's just a different feel. And I never experienced the getting up in the elevator and going to the 50th floor, so I don't know what that feels like. I don't know if that's a rush to some people, and if it is, then go do it. But I'm going to come up with my 3 steps for surviving, giving an opportunity and surviving a small firm, because while there are a lot of good things in small firms aren't easy. Okay, the pay is probably going to be a little bit less than what the pay is probably going to be less than what you're going to get it for. The benefits are going to be less. The social aspect of it's going to be less. You're going to have maybe 2 to 10 people in an office rather than a whole floor in a downtown high-rise. You're not going to get flown up to Pennsylvania for a weekend retreat where they wine and dine you. There may be little client interaction the first year, customer interaction the first year. You may be stuck just doing all the work. If you're working with somebody who is seeking retirement, you may have some pushback as far as changing process and so on. So my advice with the Big Four is to see a list of their 4 hires a list of their hires 4 years ago and how many are still there, or how many current people are still there. I wouldn't ask the recruiting person that. They won't have you back. I would find while you're touring the office or on a visit, just say how many people are still here. And it's been my experience, and I've just rolled off. This is a side note. I just rolled off of the PCPS Executive Committee with the AICPA, so I got to see a lot of this issue firsthand. And the experience that most people say the Big Four happens is that once they're ready to roll off or leave, they leave into industry. So you're leaving what we're doing. You're leaving public accounting to go work for the Blue Cross and Blue Shield, the CSX, the Fidelity. I'm naming you all Jacksonville huge clients. I know every other city has their own mix, but you go into industry, Bank of America as well as Fargo, and you're stuck there. So public accounting, private accounting. Public accounting's cool. Okay, so here's my guide to surviving a small firm, and how I know this works is because I did it. I'm not joking. This will really work, and it's not easy, but it can be done. Year 1. First of all, join a firm 20 people or less. Okay, when you're getting to that 20 mark, it's still a small firm by industry standards, but in a 20-person office, it's going to be a lot harder to influence the change and suggestions that I'm going to talk to you about than it is in a 10-person firm. Okay, so join a small firm, 20 people or less. In the year 1, just work. Do anything they ask, do it their way, and give them your honest best effort. Okay, grit your teeth, put your head down, and just give it your honest best effort. Some of it is going to make you want to scratch the chalkboard, but just trust me. Internalize it. Year 2 is a testing year. Our firm process is broken. Our firm relationships broken. Is firm communication broken? I want you to start testing small opportunities for change in the firm. And let me give you a couple examples. Okay. Let's do a technical example, then let's do a fluffy example. Technical example: payroll. Are your clients still calling Betty Bookkeeper up front and calling in their payroll every week, and she's manually giving them she's calculating it and then calling them back with net check amounts. Okay, that would be a technical process that I mean, it made my spine tingle. Right, here I am as an auditor, as a tax accountant for 4 months out of the year, and if that happened, I would just, and once again, entrepreneurial gut. It had to change. It had to be. Betty's use of time, I don't care if it was rearranging an Excel spreadsheet, is better than calling someone back with their net check amounts in this day's technology. But once again, it wasn't my firm, so I just kind of had to sit back and say, okay, well, what if Betty did this? Silence. Okay, what if Betty tried this? Silence. Let's do a fluff example. So you're in a firm. Every Friday you're getting reamed for the timesheets. You're getting reamed for the timesheets. You're getting reamed for the timesheets. I can name you 10 books on implementing value pricing. I honestly think a test change would be you just carrying that book into this type of firm and reading it while everyone's sitting around the lunch table if y'all do lunch together, or carrying it with you into a partner meeting, or leaving on the partner's desk. You could try that as well. So that would be you're free to carry whatever you want in and out of. I would hope you could carry literature in and out of the office. Some places you may not be able to, but I think that would be a testing for year 3. So, all right, year 3 is you begin suggesting change, okay? And changes in customer communication, processes, billing. Ask to be involved in admin work. This will show that you have interest in ownership and entrepreneurship. There is a huge succession gap right now in the accounting industry. There are tons of opportunity for young CPAs to get in with someone who is 5-10 years out of retirement. And this 3-year plan is rocking to figure out whether you're going to come in and maybe take this firm over one day, maybe take this firm over and build something on it, which is what I did. But year 3 is when you get kind of militant. By year 3, I mean you've shown up every day for 3 years. You're young. If you're in a small enough firm, I promise you the partner doesn't believe you're still doing it. He can't believe you're still doing it because turnover is sometimes could be high if the culture in a firm is weak. But the guide here is to the plan here is really to get a feel of how to run a firm on someone else's dime, and what you wouldn't do and what you would do. And then maybe if a light bulb goes off in this partner or multiple partners' heads, you actually begin implementing change. If I was able to implement change in an existing firm, I think I would be 7 times where I am, 7 steps ahead of where I am right now. So it was build in the infrastructure I had, which was an awesome, very knowledgeable infrastructure, and then it was start all over again with just me. So there's a method to this madness. So here's the results. By the end of year 3, you have all the answers you need. Are you being heard? Are you going to guide the ship one day? Can I build a niche around this? Can I become an expert? Okay, if the answer is yes to any of those, you found your career. And I don't want to scare you by saying that, because in my opinion, at that point, you should be loving what you're doing, as I do now. I absolutely love what I'm doing, and I come in every day with purpose, and it's great talking to clients, and it's great delivering value to them. If it's all falling on deaf ears by the end of year 3, just get out. You have no other choice. You're not going to change anything. Go start your own firm. Find some other guys in the area that want to. I'm not suggesting to disrupt the firm you're in. I'm not suggesting to take clients. By the end of year 3, you will know what your passion is. You will have come across like-minded CPAs. You will have access to the Thrival Network. I've been with Jason since day 1. You will have access to people like Jason and his group. So you can, that'll be your support until you make it to the next step. And then you'll have a support team, and you'll make it to the next step.
Chris, I'm going to fire off a poll, but
Yep.
one quick comment. If they so this is one thing that's sort of on a macro level that's happening. All of these firm owners are retiring. If you're 22 today, by the time you're 30, you're going to have a mass exodus of owners of accounting firms. So
Right.
if this is your plan and you get to year 3 and it's falling on deaf ears, don't lose hope. You could go and acquire another firm, right? If this isn't the firm that's right for you, you could go and even acquire a firm. There's going to be a lot of transition of firm ownership, millions, billions of dollars, I don't know, of revenue changing hands over the years.
Right.
So this is an excellent plan, no matter where you're at. Let me fire up this poll, and I'm going to ask you a question while we're running the poll. But Kevin wants to know, you mentioned a couple of books on value pricing. Do you mind sharing the titles? And before you answer that, I'm just going to launch this poll real quick. I just would like to ask if you guys, where you're at in the CPA exam process. I'm going to get out of the way, but please select one and hit submit. I'll give you about 30 seconds. And Chris, some book titles?
Yeah. So Implementing Value Pricing by Ron Baker, Firm of the Future by Ron Baker. I have a couple more by Ron Baker, but look up Ron Baker Value Pricing. Yeah. Ron Baker is the founder, one of the co-founders of the VeraSage Institute. It's a think tank which sole purpose is to trash the timesheet and begin delivering value in a knowledge economy. So yeah, we're all knowledge workers. We're not widgets. We're not timestamps. And with that being said, there is recurring widget work in accounting, which I experienced for many, many years, and you may experience as well. But if you can plant the knowledge seed now and the value pricing now, the iterations you will go through of timesheets and no timesheets, it'll click a lot earlier than it did for me. So yeah, I mean, Firm of the Future is what I started with. Then I went to his value pricing book. Tim Williams is another fellow at VeraSage, and he wrote Positioning for Professional Practitioners. Look up Tim Williams Value Pricing. Tim Williams is I called him the Steve Jobs of the ad agency, of the ad world. He is making big waves in value pricing and runs an extremely creative ad agency, just an absolute beast. I think that's it for me. I forgot. Okay, well, here we go. If you're being heard, congratulations. Welcome to your fast track of successful career. If you're not being heard, congratulations. You found out that the 3 years of your career are going to work for an a-hole. Don't. I said go do it on your own, or take Jeff's advice. And I use that word lightly. Look, people have spent their careers showing up and doing 1040s. They have spent 50, 60, half of a century doing tax returns. Don't expect them to allow a 20 or 30 something to come in and change the way they do it. With that being said, I've actually sit down with some of these guys that have been working for 50 years, and they're just kind of like, I like that. I could see some of our clients actually, yeah. And that's all it takes. That's all it takes. It just takes a little bit of knowledge, and then a little bit of light, and then you just begin building on that. I think I concluded with working with a small firm isn't easy. You'll have many things thrown at you at once. It may be a small office, socially defunct, and the owner may be stuck in his ways. You may be the first new employee in the past quarter decade. All that's noise, just to the experience you'll receive working on the wide range of customer deliverables. And in a larger organization, you cannot afford to give you the diversity of work. All right, that's really my last slide now, Jeff.
What I think, Chris, is that I think that people go to college, major in accounting, and they have no idea about working in small firms, and yet it is such a large population of the firms. I mean, there's 40,000 accounting firms. All of them are going to be up for sale or close or be up to buy. I just said that, over the next 10 years. I mean, all of them.
So that's so important, right? That's really important. But I want to piggyback that with you got to I don't want, and I don't want to use the term you got to do your time, but firm ownership isn't easy.
Right.
And what better way to learn how to run a small firm and evolve a small firm and change a small firm is just getting in and working one and following those 3 steps. Just year one, just zip it and work. Year two, just drop subtle hints, and then year three, start suggesting. And I think you'll find your passion. I think you'll find your way, and just yeah, move on.
You're a member of the PCPS. You mentioned that earlier. That's
Yep.
a sponsor of this event. A lot of the firms who posted jobs during Meet the Firms Week are small firms, and that's part of the reason why we partner together. Is we want people to understand that there's a really beneficial career opportunity working in small firms. And yeah, I mean, you have to learn how this business runs before you could lead one. You've got to pay those dues, and I agree that's a great timeline. But you know what? If I was a 23-year-old student and went to work at a small firm, and by the time I was 26, 27, would have enough experience to maybe start thinking about this, that's not a bad career. I mean, that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask. I'm going to do the last polling question because has to do with this very topic. Is guys, after watching this, are you more likely to start your own firm or join a small firm? So to take this path of working in a small firm, then maybe owning one or just working one for your entire career. If what you heard from Chris, are you more interested in taking that small firm career journey, or you're not, or I don't know. So I'd be really curious. And for those of you who are saying yes, and it's looking like 66% of you on the call are guys, because there are accounting firms all over Accounting Fly this week that want to hire people. Even if you're not a student or you're untraditional, apply to these firms because Chris didn't talk about this part, but one of their struggles is they're looking for young talent. They're looking for fresh blood, and they're having a hard time hiring people. And that's because there's a lot of reasons for that. But the opportunity is right here to join these small firms. So I'm going to close this in 3 seconds, but 68% says yes, more likely to work or join or start a small firm. 9% says no, and 23% says I don't know. And I think that's a really interesting question, a really interesting response. Wouldn't you say, Chris?
Yeah. Interesting.
I've got a few questions for you if you're ready.
Let's do it.
Okay. I've got a lot of questions actually. Okay, let's rock and roll. So what else was part of your national marketing campaign? You talked about the letters that you wrote. Well, actually, you answered that. You answered the marketing letters, and then you went and did some other further follow up. Any other comments on what you did in getting your firm on the marketing off the ground?
Yeah, I just followed the direct order of my marketing coach, but you have to like I said, you have to change your thinking. You have to be seen nationally. You have to speak nationally, right? So you have to align yourself with different industry groups that you want to serve. You have to write in the space. So be seen by many, many eyes, and come up with some creative marketing to capture the interest of that brewery. Look, all consumers want to know what they're getting out of the deal, and if you can present a problem and a solution in a piece of marketing material, I think you're more than halfway there to a successful national career, a national serving office.
All right, this is a softball, but I'm gonna toss it to you. How well-rounded in the accounting profession would one be from working in a small firm compared to working at a Big Four firm? What do you think about that?
So it depends. Think about the different functions. Okay, a small firm is probably going to serve smaller clients, but with that being said, I know small firms that serve no more than 100 clients, paying them $50,000 to $60,000 per client per year. So for that kind of money, you're talking about big work, big partnerships, big tax work. If you go to big four and you're in the tax department, you're going to work on some really big stuff, but you're going to work on a piece of big stuff. So you may be working on R&D credits for your local baseball, your local National Baseball League team. You will not be working on the entire tax return, I promise you that. So you're going to be an expert in R&D credits, and where's that going to lead you to? That's going to lead you to an industry career of being an expert on R&D credits, which may be an excellent career, excellent paying, excellent notoriety. You could probably write about that. It's worse in the audit space, I'm sorry to tell you, but if you do an audit in a small firm, you're going to probably do the whole thing. In a big firm, you're going to be in a basement counting vouchers. I'm sorry to tell you. And then you're going to do your time, and you're going to make your way up into a reviewer and on both the tax and accounting side. I just think the crash course is quicker in a small firm, simply for the fact that there's no one else to do the work. You are the resource. With that being said, I'm not suggesting anyone to go work for a tax mill. And a tax mill is a solo guy doing between 800 and 1,500 returns, a year. If that's the case, you're going to get burned out. So maybe my idea of a small firm is not realistic, but you have to really exhaust everything in your market before you can say that.
There's a lot of small firms stuck in the past and stuck in the old ways of doing things. I've gotten a lot of feedback saying that. I know you know that. But I think by learning how one operates, it tees you up to have a career running or earning one later, even if you're dealing with, like Chris said, if you're working with somebody who's an a-hole, get out of the way, after you learn the business. Chris, what about, you mentioned how you pay people and salary information. Any advice on where to research salary information so you know how to pay people?
No, I mean, in a timesheet world or in a non-timesheet world?
Yeah, I'm looking for when you hire people and you're hiring an accountant. That's a good question. Yeah, I guess in a non-timesheet world, because that's the world you live in.
Yeah, there's resources out there. There's a website that has comparative salaries. Jeff, can I get that to you and we can get it to are there show notes or something? Or there?
Yeah, we've got to follow up with everybody. Absolutely.
I have a resource that you can put in literally, it's free. It's like a government website or a government guided website, so you're not gonna have to pay anything, but you can put in a job description and then it'll give you the closest job description to it, and then it'll give you comparative salaries. But here's the deal. Well, where do you want to go? I do not want to continue reviewing tax returns. I have a bigger calling. I know where I need to be. I know where my value is. So I need someone to fill in that work. When I identify a candidate and the candidate says I need X, then I do some background. We do a test on them. And there was one other thing I forgot to show you here. I went on no B&B, and this is my other curse word. In our firm, there is no babysitting and there is no bullshit. There's absolutely no babysitting and no bullshit. We have a great time. We break bread together every day for lunch. Sometimes I bring in my smoked meats, but I'm a high-functioning dude. I come in, there's smoke coming out of my ears for 8 hours, and then I go home to my kids, my family, and I do my thing, and I jump on my bike. And everyone knows that here. I'm very respectful of everyone. They're very respectful to me. So, and like I said, I pay them very well. I don't want that opportunity where someone comes in and says I'm being paid more. I have an opportunity to be paid more down the street because I've identified the talent here is very strong for their job descriptions. So I will get the website to you as far as compensation. It's really a matter of compensation is a matter of wants, needs, accountability, and putting the feet to the fire is the way I view it. I simplify everything. I can hear you.
I'm talking on mute, man. What am I doing? I need some smoked meats ASAP.
All right, I'll get it to you.
I wish we had more time. We have to break. But Chris, can we do one of these again? And bring in some more young CPAs who are thinking about starting a firm, and just pick your brain a little bit longer.
Anytime.
That'd be great.
Anytime, Jeff.
Chris is on Twitter. Chris, it's at C Farmand, Farmand. I just sent across a couple of things on the chat panel, guys. 3 things. One is the Surgent Private CPA Coaching Webinar. Only 100 slots left. I imagine we filled up a bunch on this session. Then the Learn More About Surgent. So that's where you can download their free flashcard app with 2,200 questions. I've gotten a lot of feedback from Meet the Firm students who said it's awesome. I've got it too, so it's pretty cool. But I'm not an accounting student, so I just want to make sure it works right. It works great. And then lastly is for those of you who are looking for master's programs, we work with some of the top master's programs in the country. They've got a ton of resources. You can learn about them and get contacted by them with more information. I think this session, it wraps up what we're talking about all week, which is there are career opportunities outside of the big firms. They're great resume builders, and they're incredible opportunities financially and just career-wise. I mean, we've heard Jason Blummer, now Chris Farmand talking about it. It's just exciting. So I appreciate, Chris, your experience and your story. I know you were up till 4 o'clock in the morning last night, so thanks for being here, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and making this thing a success.
No problem, buddy. I had a great time doing it.
Yeah, we did.
I just love sharing my story. It's so important to get it out there, and I'm happy to do it anytime.
What time do I need to be at your house this weekend for the barbecue?
6:30 on Saturday.
6:30 p.m. Eastern. All right. I'll be there. Thanks to everybody for being here today. This will be live on our blog tonight, and that's all we've got for right now. So, Chris, enjoy the rest of your day. Audience, guys, thanks for being here. Y'all are awesome. Thanks for all the great questions. Check out Surgeon. Check out our Masters Finder, and we'll see you soon. We'll sign off for now. Bye, guys. Thanks,
Jeff.
Chris. Chris, you can go ahead and hit stop screen and stop sharing your screen and just X out of the webinar, and I'm going to keep it open for a few minutes, okay?
All right, so I'll see you later.
Okay, thanks, man. Bye-bye.
See you.